What's up, everybody? My name is Shannon and I am still waiting for my Satyr, and today we are talking about the third book in the Throne of Glass series, The Heir of Fire by Sarah J Maas. So just like the previous two videos, I have read this series before, and because of that, I cannot guarantee that there will not be spoilers in this video, so you have been warned. So when we left off with Crown of Midnight, everything basically has gone to shit. Chaol and Dorian, there's a little bit of a rift there. Selena has been sent off to Windland to, do some King's Champion stuff, and oh my gosh, yes, also, Nehemia's dead, Selena isn't who we thought she was, Chaol doesn't know how he feels about that, and Dorian has magic, so lots of things has happened here, and Heir of Fire is basically the book that is moving everything into a different position. This book is telling us that the first two books, yeah, that happened, but that's not the direction that things are going. Things are actually going in a very, very different direction, and Heir of Fire is literally moving all of our players into position so we can move on from that. And a huge part of this book is dedicated to Aelin piecing herself back together. She has been through so much. We learn finally her entire backstory, what happened to her when she was a child, what happened to her before she was sent to Endivere, all of that stuff. And it's her learning how to reconcile her past and embrace being Aelin Galathynius, as we learned in the last book. This is also where we meet Rowan, who is a #endgame. There's a lot of different ships in this book, and if you've read Sarah J Maas at all, you will know that the first boy is never the boy. And I'm gonna go ahead and start being controversial here, because the first time I read Heir of Fire, this is when I was starting to hit a wall. I was starting to get burnt out on the series, and I didn't know why, but it was really starting to become a struggle for me. And then I struggled through Queen of Shadows, and then I had to take a break because it just wasn't working for me. When Kingdom of Ash came out, I wanted to reread the series, but I was really scared to reread Heir of Fire, so I actually skipped the first three books, hence why I'm making these videos now, and started with Queen of Shadows, and I was like, wow, I missed so much of this because I got so burnt out with Heir of Fire, and I just didn't know why that is, and I think I finally kind of figured that out. Because reading this again, I really see how important this part of the story is. You need to see all of this emotional growth that Aelin goes through. You have to see this change from her being Selena Sardothian to her being Aelin Ash River Galathynius, who's going to go back and reclaim her throne. You have to see her rebuild herself. You have to see her develop this relationship with Rowan, because otherwise everything else down the line is just not gonna hit correctly. And knowing what happens down the line does make this book really hit very differently. So I definitely have a bigger appreciation for it. I think my problem is still that the pacing is a little bit off to me. I do think that Aelin spends a lot of time training. Part of the reason is she has to master her Fae form, master her abilities before she can go talk to Maeve, because Maeve's a bitch and is gonna make her take forever to do this. And because of this, I feel like her side of the story gets a little bit stalled. We are getting a lot of character growth, which I really, really love. And this is what's so weird for me, because I am such a character person over plot, but I feel like things just weren't moving as quickly as I would like with her side of the story, and I think that's why I struggled so much. I also think I struggled so much because I really love Chaol, and I really identify with him. If I haven't lost you yet, I'm sure I'm gonna lose you now. Chaol is one of my favorite characters, and in this book, he's dealing with the fact that everything has changed and he does not want it to. Change is so terrifying for him, and he's got this death grip on the situation, and he's like, no, I don't have to pick a side. Everything can just be how it is. It's gonna be fine. He doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that things are changing. And I think that's kind of what I was feeling as well, because in this book, things are changing, and over, Sarah J Maas is telling you, when Aelin comes back, she's not going to be Selena Sardothian. She can't go back to Chaol. She can't go back to the life that she was starting to live before. Everything is going to be different now because things have to be different. And over, Chaol is also being told this from the other characters around him. We finally meet Adian, who is Aelin's cousin. We get a lot of side stuff with Dorian, and they're all telling him, it's time to pick a side. Are you going to continue to be loyal to this king? Are you going to continue to just stand by while he does all of this horrible stuff, or are you finally going to draw a line in the sand? And he does finally draw that line, but I think it makes him angry, and he doesn't know why it makes him angry, and that's what we see in Queen of Shadows, and then we finally see him like come to terms and reconcile and like the redemption in Tower of Dawn, which is my favorite one out of the series. I do think where the story struggles a lot is with Chaol's side of the story, just because it's a lot of exposition, because we're learning a lot about like how magic went away, what the rebels are doing. Again, it's mostly just setting up stuff for the next book in the series. We also get a little bit of Dorian's point of view during this time, and his as well. I kind of wish he was doing something else. In this, we see him explore a relationship with a healer named Shorsha. He is in love with her. It's really cute, all that kind of stuff. But she gets a point of view in this book, and I feel like instead of giving her that point of view, we should have gotten either more Dorian or more Rowan, because, again, another controversial thing, Rowan is not my favorite character. I like him, and I like him with Aelin, I ship it, but I wish we could get more of his point of view earlier on. His point of view comes way late in Heir of Fire, and I don't think we get enough of it. So to me, I would sacrifice Shorsha's point of view in order to get his, just to have it balanced out a little bit better. My favorite part of the story, though, is Man in Blackpeak's part of the story. I love the witches. I love like the dragon writing, everything about it. It's so cool. There's so much lore here, and I love the idea of seeing like these monsters. Like there's these women who have become such monsters, and yet Manon is starting to see that maybe their way of life isn't exactly all that she's like been led to believe. And you see how she reacts to like everybody else, and you see how she reacts to Abraxos, and it's just really interesting. I loved her character, and I remember when I read it the first time, that was really the saving grace that like kept me moving with this book. I still love Heir of Fire. I still really love like the Throne of Glass as a whole, don't get me wrong. I just think with this one, the pacing is what really like bogged me down. It's a very heavy book, but it's also so important. You need so many of these details for later on. Like there are plot lines that like happen way later that are set up in this book. It is just such an important read. I just think it gets a little bit slow in the middle. And in fact, when I was reading it this time around, I kept thinking, you know what, I think I am over it. Maybe I don't want to reread all of Throne of Glass. I'll just reread these 3 and it'll be fine. I'll have all the videos up on my channel. But the finale of this book, there are 3 finales. You gotta wrap up 3 storylines, and all of them are amazing. Sarah J Maas really knows how to stress you out, and I remembered the finale of this book, like out of anything, I remembered the 3 huge scenes that happen at the end, and as that was going, I was getting more and more and more excited, and I was like, all right, I want to start Queen of Shadow, like I'm ready, let's go. So I definitely think I'm going to continue on with the series. I really like this reread. I kind of like looking at it from this lens and knowing like how things are going to turn out later and seeing where all of like the threads come in here and there. So I'm giving this book an A-. Personally, I think there are some pacing issues. I wish things could be structured just a little bit differently, but I'm also aware that those are very controversial opinions and that I'm not a huge fan of Rowan, that I'm a bigger fan of Chaol, like all that kind of stuff. Like I understand this. It's just my opinion. I'm sorry. Like you can drag me in the comments if you want to, but I really loved Heir of Fire so much more this time around, and I'm excited to continue on with the rest of my reread. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can talk books with me every week. That is everything got for today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!